So we now have two people. One is Bernie, the other one is Joe Biden. Pretty much everybody else is gone. I don't know about Tulsi Gabbard. Um, Talked, I think, here before and mentioned that there were three viable options looking, and Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders. And Joe Biden made a comeback some days ago. And here are now coming endorsements. So Kamala Harris, for example, endorses Joe because she actually criticized her before. On the other hand, because she actually criticized her before. On the other hand, Bernie Sanders got another endorsement from one of the previous candidates, Reverend Jackson, I think is his name. Anyway, so now comes the endorsement time, and yeah, so Joe Biden made an incredible comeback on that Super Tuesday, and now has more delegates pledged for him. So apparently, there's a magic number, 1991 or something. Delegates are needed. And Biden has accumulated 600 plus, and Bernie Sanders is right behind him. But Joe Biden is now ahead, and now it's all about um, the support that they are gonna get from who dropped out of race and other Democratic important people, and the upcoming other primaries. So who is going to be the president? It's hard to say. It's still hard to say. Joe Biden at some point. Initially, Joe Biden was in CNN polls and such, the primary candidate. Then it dropped to behind, I think, Bernie Sanders. At some point, Elizabeth Warren was supposed to be even almost a front running one. Though, as I have been telling, that it's not about the policies that matter a lot, but it's about how they communicate, what they say, their facial expression, and what type of impression they leave on others. And Joe Biden has been almost the most peaceful one, as far as I know. Whenever there's a debate, he would be the one that he does the least among the least attacking, maybe the least attacking person. And at some point, he was the most offended one, or the most attacked, because of him being the primary candidate. And people forget about him, but they've also forgot about him that he had been a popular guy. He had been the vice president, and yes, he's not necessarily maybe black community directly supported guy, but at the same time, he worked with a black guy for 8 years, and even despite Kamala Harris at some point um, directing her arrows to him, now she's just endorsing Joe Biden. That's what CNN says, right? In the news. Um, so Joe Biden hasn't won yet, because Bernie Sanders was the guy who wasn't given a chance against Hillary Clinton, and there are still angry people from that time that he hadn't become the candidate. If Bernie Sanders becomes the presidential candidate, the elections will be the most polarizing one. There are like two opposite sides. One's Donald Trump, the other one's Joe Biden. I don't think one who would vote for one would vote for the other in almost any other circumstance, which means people need to make a very sharp choice if Bernie Sanders becomes the Donald Trump. On the other hand, Joe Biden is less polarizing. So, people fear this might be a repeat of 2016, because there had been this Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders uh, battle so much ongoing that the party got divided and wasn't united, and people got upset. This shouldn't probably last as long as it lasted with the Hillary Clinton for Democrats Party's sake, which means one or the other needs to give up um, before that magic number is even reached. Though Joe Biden regretted that he didn't become a candidate due to his mourning of his son's loss, and Bernie Sanders probably is quite a bit, I don't know, pissed or just quite motivated that he didn't get the chance before. So none of those either strong candidates are looking like they are willing to give up anything easily. And because the difference is small, Bernie Sanders is not going to give up, which means the primaries ahead of um, ahead of us in the upcoming days and weeks are going to determine basically if the Joe Biden's lead is going to persist, or if Bernie Sanders going to fight back and come back. The thing is, though, Joe Biden, despite Bernie Sanders being the one who got a heart attack and a bypass surgery, Joe Biden to me still gives the vibes that he's a bit the older guy. He's like I have been here, done that. So you know me, I'm your Joe, elect me type of person. Whereas Bernie Sanders, yes, by being him, not one of the mainstream of the Democratic lineage, being the guy who needs to fight, but at the same time. mm, he's the one that still I think gives more excitement to people, which means it is not easy to convince uh, any of these supporters the other way around, and also it's not easy to say that despite being at the back, Bernie Sanders has lost anything, because he's putting, I think, seemingly more effort than Joe Biden, who is much more like waiting to be elected, waiting for people to endorse him and or expect him to be the president candidate, because he's the most more, I wouldn't say well known. I mean, Bernie Sanders is quite well known right now, but rather well known in the mainstream Democratic area. Let me say it that way. Arena. Let me say it that way. So, who is going to be? It's hard to tell. But at some point, I was saying that Bernie Sanders had the most momentum. He lost that momentum. He can regain that momentum, which means if Bernie Sanders becomes the first in the upcoming elections and the delegate count changes, then Bernie Sanders will regain momentum. And at some point, I think it will be very hard for Joe Biden to come back. On the other hand, if it is a neck and neck but with Joe Biden ahead situation, then this might simply persist. And at some point, as Joe Biden approaches the delegate count needed for securing the candidacy, at some point, Bernie Sanders might not wait until that point, because he knows, both of them know actually, both Bernie Sanders know that they need a united front, and in fact, Joe Biden made some statement saying that watch against attacks of Bernie bros. I guess supporters of Bernie Sanders are called like that, meaning that they are aware that they shouldn't be damaging the party. And I am glad, to be honest, that Elizabeth Warren is out of race, because she was way more aggressive. Kamala Harris, when she burned the fire on Joe Biden, she was very aggressive. And that aggressiveness among the Democratic Party is not, as far as I can sense, just my point of view, is something that the Democratic Party needs or wants, which means the candidates need to differentiate themselves not by attacking the other candidate, but rather saying that, here, I am that different. Instead of the other guy, there's no girl, right? The other guy is worse than me, instead saying that, look, my policies are this and that, and therefore much more better suited for the future of the United States, not just about Donald Trump. That's one thing that I see, um, that is still being uh, uh, coined, like, I'm better than Donald Trump. I mean, yeah, you can say that, right? Um, for a Democrat, anybody could be better than Donald Trump anyway. So saying better than Donald Trump does not work. Saying I can defeat Donald Trump does not immediately work like that either. As I said, you need to gain the support of people, and support of people who are, not directly coming from the roots of any of this party, but there are a lot majority of people in the gray areas, right? Neither uh, A nor B, or neither white and black in terms of two opposite poles, but somewhere in between all those grayish areas. And how any of these candidates can pull the interest of those people are going to light up their will to vote for that candidate, which I am not sure Bernie Sanders can do, because he has very established um, ideas about free healthcare and free education and everything, that it is way more polarizing than Joe Biden. To be honest, I don't know what his exact policies are, but I also said that it is not that important, because people don't elect just policies, but actually they elect a person, a human being, with that face, with that smile, or with that expression. So, in terms of who has higher chance against Donald Trump, I don't know. Economy had been doing well, and no matter who, Donald Trump might win, because it's the economy, right? On the other hand, if it's a close race, and usually it is, Joe Biden needs to ignite the fire. He doesn't. He's just a Joe. So how can he ignite that fire? I don't know. Um, on the other hand, Bernie Sanders, he would be a definitely different president. Maybe the president that the United States and world needs. So see, I'm not really supporting any of these uh, two Democratic candidates over Donald Trump directly, because I cannot predict the future. Um, but I think at the end of the March, so I guess there's a deadline, like some April Democratic conference or party thingy. Before that, I think by the end of this March, uh, everything is going to be now clear, which means all the upcoming numbers are going to be very crucial. And Bernie Sanders, I know the supporters of him are angry. He is angry, but if he keeps falling back, he shouldn't drag this too long, so that the party is united before it was united with Hillary Clinton, which happened, I think, at a later time, and it was too polarizing. Hillary Clinton was polarizing as well. Right? Joe Biden is not such a guy. He's the Joe. Um, on the other hand, if Bernie Sanders gains momentum, you know, he has the fire, right? Feel the burn. Then Joe Biden needs to actually say that, okay, well, I gained my momentum, but I lost it, which means that I couldn't make use of it. To be honest, I don't know if Joe Biden is working enough to make use of it. Now, he had much less finances, right? And he regained lots of finances for campaign efforts and such. Yes, but how is he going to spend it, right? Just some ads. Yeah, I think they are important, but it's not the whole thing. So what he's going to say, and he's stuttering, right? So that's a big problem. His speech is not as clean. as some other candidate. Maybe Bernie Sanders is cleaner in terms of his speech. On the other hand, Bernie Sanders says the same things over and over, right? That top 1%. Yeah, we heard of it. We need something new. So yeah, because it's a close race right now between those two, um, any dramatic endorsement, any shift, and any number in the upcoming weeks those are the ones that are going to determine who will become the candidate. And we'll see. Hopefully, then the party will be united, and it will be now a much better option than the Hillary was. Everybody was surprised. Now nobody should be surprised if Donald Trump wins, because this has a very high chance. Because, well, that's another video maybe, but he became basically victorious after not being removed from this president's chair. So we'll see. All right, that's all I think, and I'm ending this and uploading this to YouTube. Right, and stream. Yep, I'm sure to end it. End it. End. End. Are you ending it? Are you ending it? End.